Good evening and welcome to the Monday, October 13th, 2025 meeting for the City of Lamar. I'm Mayor Kirk Crespin. Back on October the 3rd, the Lamar Thunder football team had their whistle game. And beginning of last year, the mayor of La Junta had called me up and did a friendly challenge, a friendly bet to say that, whoever the winning team was, the opposing mayor would wear the shirt of the winning team at the next meeting. And so last year we were fortunate enough to win and we brought the whistle home to Lamar. Unfortunately, this past October the 3rd, the Lamar Thunder did lose. It was the 24th annual whistle game and the score was 21-12. So it was a difficult defeat. But we did this whole thing in an attempt to show our students, show our communities, and show everybody that we can have a friendly rivalry amongst ourselves and keep out the unneeded and unnecessary drama and other events that have happened in the past. And I think it's worked out really well. Joe was very nice and courteous enough to bring me my shirt at the end of the game and kind of rubbed it in a little bit, of course. But, it's all a bet, and a bet is a bet. Now, last year, Joe wore his suit coat over the Lamar Thunder, so that's why I'm wearing my suit coat. However, a bet is a bet, so I wanted to bring this up, and here is my hat for the picture, and I believe Anne Marie was going to take a picture for us. All right, so there is my bet coverage, and we did take care of that for tonight. Congratulations to both teams. I know congratulations to the La Junta Tigers. They did a great job. The Lamar Thunder did a wonderful job. We always support the Lamar Thunder, and we'll continue to. I know they had a rough evening that night, but nonetheless, we still have full faith in them, right?
Yes, we sure do.
So we're going to go ahead and move on with our meeting. Tonight, we're going to start off with the invocation. We have Ray Matson here to do our invocation. Thank you, Ray.
Oh God in heaven, we are grateful, God, to be a part of this community. And God, we're grateful for those who choose to lead us in various ways. Father, we're thankful for this council, but also the employees of this city who contribute so much to this town. And Father, I pray that you will guide their meeting tonight. God, you will just give them the wisdom to do what they need to and the courage to do it and the strength. And God, that we will be a city that is united in the ways that we really need to be. We pray it all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Gonzalez, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to put my coat back on because Jerry's going to beat me up if I don't. All right, so we will move on to the agenda. The time is now 7:02 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez.
Present.
Shayla Mata.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Kirk Crespin.
Here.
David Zavala.
Here.
Manuel Temez.
Here.
Brent Bates.
Here.
Kristen Swartz. Here. Lance Clark.
Here.
Okay. We reviewed the agenda. I did not see any changes that needed to be made tonight. Did anybody else see any changes?
I didn't see any.
Okay. Well, I'll move on to the consent agenda. I did not see any items that needed to be voted on separately or any changes to the minutes or any other item in the consent agenda. Anyone else?
Nope.
No.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the public comment portion of the meeting. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and that is at the discretion of the council. Is there somebody here tonight that would like to speak to the council? If you'd like to come up and just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Timothy Earhart. My address is 907 South 8th Street, Apartment 3. And this time I actually brought a something to actually remember everything by.
Okay.
So, in the spirit and agreement of full public disclosure, I would like the mayor to disclose the reason behind the Clo plant when fixing the hydro plant would have been cheaper, which would have left money open for more redevelopment phases.
With the what plant to the what plant?
The fossil fuel plant that we had that a while back that never was operational, to the hydroelectric dam one that we did have.
Okay, continue.
And I'd also like him to present the reasons for Main Street being worked on for 5 years consecutively, considering Main Street has multiple highways going through it. I think discussing that and explaining why that happened would be good for clearing up a whole list of questionable stuff going on there. And I'd also why it took so long to have a cyber division down in Lamar, because for years we never had one, and it's only a recent addition. Considering the lack of entertainment in this town, most people actually play things online, so why didn't we have one for the longest time, covering all those reasons and explanations? We'd also like a statement on why people are being shielded, like the previous city council administrator, Rob, the chief of police, Kyle Miller, Chad Miller, PJ Wilson, and more, from the accountability and how that actually benefits the town.
Okay. Is that your whole statement or?
For now.
Okay.
I'll be back in the next one with a few more.
Well, generally, we don't respond back to these. These are public statements that you can give during the public comment portion of the meeting. I will say that the power plant was a natural gas power plant generator that we had before, and it was converted into a coal power plant. That it was a decision that was made by the council, as well as Lamar Utility Board and ARPA, Arkansas River Power Authority, who did this in a group effort. Now, it wasn't, I don't know about the hydro.
We've had one for decades.
We don't have one. What we have is a wind farm. There's 3 wind towers that we have. We are in the middle of working on some solar with ARPA. But as of right now, we do not have a generator for Lamar. So there is no generator that I'm not sure where you got the hydro power.
There was a removable dam upstream that was connected to a hydroelectric plant. Most people thought that was actually part of Lamar. So,
yeah, I don't know anything about that. Now, as far as the decision to make that and do that change, that was before my time on the council. So that was a previous council that did that. However, I was involved in the after effects and from then on starting in 2009, as well as a few other things. So I'm not sure about that. If you want to find more information and bring it back, I'd be happy to try to give you more information, but I really can't give you any information on a project that we don't have as far as a hydro power.
well, like I said, all this information's been just kind of closed out for decades. So I'm just trying to make sure all of these stuff gets discussed.
Okay.
But with the time limit,
Now, as
you
far
can
as
only bring a few things up.
Now,
at
as
a
far as the
time.
Main Street is concerned, being torn up for 5 years, that main street is part of US Highway 50, which is basically a CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation highway. We do not take care of that. We do not manage it. We do not fund it. It was their decision to rebuild all of Main Street and do it as concrete. They funded it through the state. It was a state project. It was through CDOT. You can go to the Colorado Department of Transportation website and look up the information and what their plan was and what their future plans are as far as managing Main Street. So it wasn't a situation where the city did this for 5 years. It was a situation where the Colorado Department of Transportation did this for 5 years. We just accommodated the traffic.
I understand that. And like I said, this is mostly so people could actually find the information themselves so that there's more, not so many confusing rumors going on that,
Okay.
well,
This is the first
That
time
could
I've
be
heard that. So
problems.
now, as far as the cyber division, I'm not sure where you got the cyber division from. That one's new to me. I think we have started doing more cyber work with the police department. We've been working on some more cybersecurity as well as crimes against children and online security with the police department. Now, is that a cyber division? Not necessarily.
Well,
We don't have like a whole division that's just dedicated on cyber.
I know that. Singer's liaison with the FBI, we finally have some work in that department. I was merely asking why it took so long before we started having such a
Funding is a
setup.
lot of that reason. Funding is the major reason. So now that we have more funding and there are more funding resources nationally, statewide, and locally, we were able to do some of that and put it in there. So that should answer that question. Did you want to add anything, Emmanuel?
But if there's anything else, we'll make sure we get information to you. Thank you for coming and addressing the council, and you'll have opportunity at another time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council on an item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to reports and correspondence, starting off with the city treasurer's report. Kristen?
I don't really have a report tonight. We've
Okay.
been desperately working on payroll, excuse me.
Sorry.
We've been working on payroll in Tyler, so we've been pretty tied up with that, but we are moving forward on some other, working on there's an agenda item on there tonight, so we can get to writing the grant for the next round of brownfield assessment grants. We're still under the EPA audit. We're finishing that up for tomorrow on the current brownfield grant. So, but other than that, we're just doing quarterly reports right now. So that's our grants update. And I gave you the Tyler update. We're doing live payroll this week. So, but that's the only things that I had this week, unless you guys have questions for me.
Okay, do we have any questions for the treasurer?
I do not have any.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item is the city clerk's report.
So
Linda?
I really don't have a report. I do want to state, though, that our sales tax over the last couple of months, I haven't been able to give a report because we're working out of the two systems, but our sales tax has maintained. I don't believe we've lost any sales tax over the last couple of months. I believe if it's not comparable to last year, it might be a little higher.
Okay,
That's all I have.
and did you want to give any kind of update on I know the ballots have went out.
The ballots, I believe, went out today. What's today?
They went out on Friday, the 10th.
So people should be receiving them.
Or
All
today.
candidates have turned in their campaign finance reports, and all ballots need to be turned into the Powers County Clerk and Recorder,
Okay, and when is election day?
November 4th.
4th. Okay. Any questions for the city clerk?
I don't have any.
Okay, we'll move on to the city administrator's report. Would you like to start?
Sure. The Powers County Public Health and Environment October flu shot clinics. You do not need any appointments. No appointments are necessary. They're Thursday, October 16th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Powers County Annex. Friday, October 17th, 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Powers County Public Health. And Thursday, October 30th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Powers County Public Health. There's going to be a candlelight vigil honoring Charlie Kirk. That'll be held Tuesday, October 14th, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Bicentennial Park. Did you want me to continue on or?
I can step in. Prowers Medical Center has health fair screenings starting Wednesday, October the 15th, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. You need to call to schedule an appointment. They are $25 health fair labs throughout. So if you can get in there, that would be great. Moonlight Madness will be on Thursday, October the 23rd, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in downtown Lamar. Election ballots, as the clerk had mentioned, were mailed out on the 10th, are due back by the 7 p.m. on the 4th. Or you can drop off your ballot at 301 South Main Street in the parking lot just east of the county courthouse building. There's a box there for dropping off your ballots. Department updates. I don't have anything right now on the department updates. I guess I did have a couple of items that were sent to me. Did you have anything?
I know that the fire trucks was delayed in arriving. Did you want to share anything on that?
Yeah, so, delivered up Florida, some permanent fire apparatus in Denver, and in transit lost a piece of equipment on it. So they had to deliver that back from Florida, to get back up here to replace. So it should be hopefully sometime this week. Perfect.
Thank you, Jeremy.
The archery range, the fence and gate have been completed and installed for the archery range just north or just south of North Gateway Park. Logan from the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Division will be coming out next week to install the targets. The new expected opening date is by the end of the month for the month of October. So looking forward to having that archery range as a new amenity for our community. Do you have anything else?
That should do it.
Okay. I know the street crew's been very busy finishing up their street projects and finalizing some of those projects. So everybody's been very busy. We are anticipating the new city administrator who will be starting on the 27th of October. So that'll be his first day on the job. I met with him today and his wife and was able to, he's very excited to get started and ready to get going. So got him all his credentials to get started. All right. Yes.
On the flu shot clinic for Thursday, the 16th, you can just pull up and there's going to be a big white tent outside and you can just come into the tent. If you're not able to get out of your car, just let us know and our nurse will take you the paperwork and we'll get them done. Make sure you bring your insurance cards, okay?
Okay. All right. Any questions for the city administrator report?
I don't have any.
All right. So moving right along, we have our next item of business is reports and correspondence from the council. Joe, we'll start off on your end. Do we have any
Tonight,
updates?
I don't have anything. The golf board will be meeting tomorrow. PEP will be meeting this next coming Monday. So I should have a report for us on the 27th.
Okay. Shayla?
The Main Street Lamar Board recently met. We discussed some potential fundraising ideas for the winter months to help facilitate some of those future projects they're looking at. And that's pretty much.
Okay. Jerry?
No, we don't meet until this coming Thursday.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I have one for the historic preservation. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, October 21st, including the CLG annual report to revise the HP ordinance, the main cafe, the Alamo, Davis Western Store, and more. And I do have another one. I did attend a meeting for the Lamar Parks and Recreation. They did put out there a recreation activity policy, and I believe Anthony said they already put it out there. I just wanted to put it out on this meeting tonight. And that was with Tendon and I forget her name. Kendra also. And also they would like to see if anybody's out there willing to, do some officiating or coach or do some volunteer work too, because they're always short on that. And then also for the planning and zoning, don't have anything on that yet. And that's everything I have tonight.
Okay. Manuel?
The water board had to cancel their meeting, but they will be, I'm sure, scheduling for November. Their next scheduled meeting date will be on. But so other than that, I have nothing to report.
Okay, Brent?
Adjustment and Appeals meets next Wednesday, so I'll have a report at the next council meeting.
Okay. I know I had talked to Anne Marie Crampton a few times about the Shore Arts Center Park. Really, there's not a whole lot of updates right now. There's been ongoing discussions. The discussions have been reopened and trying to work through some of the concerns that were had by both sides. And we'll go through that list and continue to work on it. But as of right now, everything is business as usual until we hear differently on the Shore Arts Center Park. So I want to thank Anne Marie for stepping in and helping out with this and helping to mediate and get things moving to where we can start conversation and dialogue once again. So thank you for that. All right, now that we're done with all the reports and correspondence from the council, we will move on to our regular new business. First item on the agenda is an update from Lamar Community College President, Dr. Rosanna Reyes. She's here tonight to speak to us. Welcome. It's been a while.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Major, elected official, and the council. It's a pleasure to see you. Can you hear me okay, or I need to?
Oh, there you go.
This is
Helps.
better. Okay. I have a report that I shared with you in writing, but because I want to keep your attention, I'm going to hold on to it
Okay.
until afterwards, and then I'll pass it on. Again, thank you for the opportunity to address you. It has been a little bit. I think it was in the last spring meeting that I was able to come and share with you. So I'm excited on behalf of our faculty and staff to share some of the good work that is happening at the college. First, let me just start by saying how we ended the year. Our fiscal year for the college, once again, ended very strong. We presented a fiscal year 26 budget that is balanced and that reflects the efforts that we're making in improving our financial position at the institution in both growing reserves and being very efficient, diversifying our source of revenue, strengthening our grant securing so that we can have mission-aligned grants that allow us to expand our work and to have higher impact on our students. And so we ended fiscal year 25 with a positive revenue over expenses. And so we were able to use some of those revenues to be very strategic with certain things that I'd like to share with you. For example, we've been improving our infrastructure, including critical upgrades to buildings like Tadbridge Hall, which is our main dorm facility, which needs some electrical and plumbing system improvement. We are grateful for your support with Escondido Park and also grateful to be able to match that support and able to do that because of our financial position. We also had a energy improvement loan that the college secured in 2011. It was supposed to conclude in 2030, and we were able to pay that off this past year, which was over $1 million of a loan. And so that really has put our institution in a much more solid place. And the goal of that payment early was to eliminate any obligations and allowing us to free all future resources towards our students and student-centered initiatives. So we wanted to have more opportunities to expand. We also continue to invest in our people. I wanted to give you some background. For the last 3 years, we've been doing equity salary adjustments based on what is the average salary for certain positions within the rural colleges in Colorado. And this year, we were able to do 18 adjustments. And this is besides the regular increases that we do for our staff and faculty. This is again to elevate the earning for all of our employees. So far to date, in the last 3 years, we've done 76 positions, or over 80% of our full-time faculty have received an additional increase on top of their annual raises to become much more competitive, to be able to hopefully increase the retention of our employees and to have a more fair and family-sustaining wages and earning for our staff and faculty. We have also launched a new tuition reimbursement this year for our staff. And similar to many of us in this community, it's so difficult to attract qualified candidates to serve several positions. And we decided we want to invest in those that we have. And many of our employees only have an associate's degree. And so we wanted to incentivize bachelor's and graduate's degree, including doctoral degree attainment. So this year, we're launching our first tuition reimbursement for all full-time faculty at a 50% rate of their tuition. So really excited about that. And we already have several staff who began to take advantage of it. So let me now switch over to the full semester and give you a glimpse of what's happening. I don't know if you've driven by and seen, we're running out of parking spaces, which is a good problem to have. And as a matter of fact, we are having an issue about where to store food in our cafeteria because we have so many students growing. So we had a 5% growth in enrollment this fall compared to last fall. However, I want to share with you a little fact that is really important to us, and that is that we are also increasing 9% on degree-seeking first-time college students. And that's where you really want to see the growth, because these are the students that are going to be here for 2 years, ideally, or maybe 4, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But these are the students who are going to be here for the long run. These are not just one class or, a concurrent student, although we do appreciate and we have seen growth in concurrent. We're actually up 7% this fall semester on concurrent enrollment, which reflects the strength in partnerships that we have with area high schools. And so we're happy to see that. We are growing in our staffing. Just this year alone, we created 13 new full-time positions that are all grant funded. Most of these, again, are to implement initiatives that are expanding our support for students. For example, one of those initiatives you might have seen in the news, Colorado received a $20 million donation to Arna Ventured to establish a program called the Accelerated Studies in Associate Program, allowing us to bring our best models on supporting adults primarily, but all students to complete an associate's degree, have tuition gap payment covered, and also give them a monthly stipend every month to allow them to sustain their enrollment in college and be successful. So we are one of 2 colleges in the state who have received that funding, and we are on our first phase of it, so in the first 3 years. Hopefully with our success, the plan will be that we will expand that same program to other schools in the state. So a lot is riding on us, and we're excited to take on that responsibility, and excited that after the 3 years of this funding, we will have an additional 5 years to continue this work. So really excited. Again, this is costing our students nothing to go to school and giving them lots of hands-on support, high touch, and again, financial assistance to complete. When I started 2 years and 10 months today, I actually counted it as I was getting ready to come. We were in the middle of our strategic plan that was supposed to end in 2025. And we quickly got together and got to go work, and happy to report that we completed most of those things that we set out to complete in 2020 when, under Dr. Lujan's leadership, the college put together that plan. Now that we have sunset that program, we are launching our new 2025-2030 5-year strategic plan. And it's on our website if you are looking to see it. And it's also a summary of our accomplishment on the last 5 years as well. So you're more than welcome to take a peek at that. But what I want to share with you about this new plan is that our North Star have become economic mobility. We are expanding our focus and our KPIs as a college away from not just access, enrollment, retention, and completion, but also in whether or not we're moving the needle economically for the students that we are educating. In other words, are we helping students earn family-sustaining wages when they graduate? And so we began to look at every program and all of the graduates that came out of that program at 3 years and at 5 years of their graduation from Lamar Community College to evaluate whether or not their earning is matching what it is considered family sustaining wages. And what we're doing in that review is also looking at our programs and making adjustments to either elevate their potentials, but also bring in opportunities that would create those opportunities for students. You see, we take this responsibility of educating students so responsibly. We recognize that over 60% of our students are first-generation college students. And when we have that one student in front of us, if we do our job well, they will be the last first generation, right? And so we really want to do that. We want to make sure that our work impacts the generation behind them and that this earning becomes part of why they're at our institution. And so we are going deep in all of those programs and making sure that we are moving the needle in the right direction. A few key initiatives connected to that economic mobility that we're so focused on. We secured an innovation grant from Perkins to expand welding. And believe it or not, welding certificate is one of our highest grossing and earning for our graduates. Certificate, not a loan program, right? Something that can be completed very shortly. And so we're expanding the welding program to 4 rural high schools in our region. We're building bays. We're giving them the training and the curriculum, and hopefully these high school students will be able to graduate with a certificate in welding without leaving their high schools. The first one will be a Holly. We're really excited. We just got approval from HLC, which is our accrediting agency, to have that as an additional site for us to deliver our degree. So we're really excited about that. COSI, which is a standard program in Colorado of a lot of support, also has awarded us over $400,000 to expand support starting next year to students and also to cover some of that tuition cost that makes it so difficult to enroll and persist. Through our Copper grant, which has been fantastically implemented here in the community under the leadership of our construction and trades faculty, we are now expanding into other degree programs. We're bringing in plumbing as well as heavy equipment starting next fall of 27. So we're really excited about that, and that those programs will be coming forward. We also received additional funding because of our successful implementation of this program to have 2 construction projects happen at the same time, as we're not only growing in students, but we're hopefully also growing in staff and faculty so that we can have multiple communities in our region building new homes or renovating new homes at the same time, not just one at a time. So really excited about that as well. And then about 2 weeks ago, we received a formal approval letter from our accrediting body for our first bachelor's degree in business, which we're really proud to bring to our community. It is the first in the history of the college. And I always like to say it's always really hard to get the first one. You have to have a site visit, a lot of documentation, lots of community involvement and support, and many people who were part of that. And I want to extend the gratitude to everyone from the advisory board through community business leaders who helped us to be able to secure this opportunity for our students. But we were just approved. And now this is the first of what I hope will be many to come. We are advancing our mission by also focusing not only on the high school students, but also adults in our community without a high school diploma. We recently launched the ACE Center, which is the Adult Career and Educational Center for students and adults, again, that are lacking a high school diploma. And I'm happy to report that over 31 adults have taken advantage of that opportunity in our community at no cost to them. So really happy to see that. You've noticed all the constructions on campus, and you've probably seen all the traffic and all the up and coming. There are over $19 million worth of capital renewal projects going on at the college, which is quite a lot. We do live with a lot of dust. It helps that my dad was in construction, so I have a lot of patience. But it is really a lot of work. And so the most recent one was the recently completed library, which looks beautiful, as well as our academic support centers and some of the classrooms in Bowman. We will have a rededication. The problem is that administration is now in the student support services and academic area, because that side of the Bowman building is being renovated. So as soon as we move back, we're going to invite you all, and hopefully you get to see the beautiful space that has been renovated for our students. We also last Wednesday, I believe, received very good bids for parking lots. We're getting all of our parking lots redone. So if you've driven on our parking lot lately, I'm sorry, there are some big potholes, but we're going to take care of that. And hopefully soon you'll see a beautifully and smooth and well-lit campus. So we're really excited about that. The bid came in under budget. So that is a fantastic news for us. We have also reimagined our maker space, which is a space that is dear and near to many people in our community. And we wanted to make sure that we reopen it and rebrand it in a way that was not only financially sound for the institution, but that it also provided a lot of support, especially for those who are thinking about using this space to launch a business or to create prototypes or advertisement, whatever might be in the imaginations of users. And so now that we are in partnership with the Small Business Development Center, which is housed on our campus and is now also overseeing our makerspace, we will have a relaunching and rededication. Our goal is to give out membership cards for people who want to use the space and have full access and be able to use it as they are hoping to. Last, as I'm getting to the end now, and I know it's just been a while, I should come a little more often so that I don't have such a long list. We are finalizing our plans to add 3 additional certificate degrees and 1 more bachelor's degree in health-related fields to expand opportunities in high priority occupations in our region. Believe it or not, when we look at all of the top employers in our region, healthcare is at the top, which is amazing to me because many of them are not from Lamar, right? They're traveling in. And so we want to grow people here. And so we're adding those 4 degrees in health-related areas, leaning and building on the tremendous success of our nursing team and our faculty in that program. In addition to that, we are also finalizing plans for a cybersecurity degree, an ag education degree, and ranch management or livestock management degrees as well. And these are all new degrees that we're hoping to launch for fall of 26. When I started, I shared that I was not intending to start anything at that time, but to strengthen everything we had. And that was my hope, and we've been working very hard to do that. And now we feel the opportunities are right to start bringing in more programs and to start building on what we already have strong programs on. I thank you for your time. I thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for serving. Serving in leadership is never easy, and I recognize that, and I value what you do every day. And if I can continue to be a partner or hear from you on any feedback you have, I welcome that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out and giving us an update. I think as a community, we tend to forget how integral and how important the college is for our community. I mean, it is. It's the, one of the main foundations, just as important as the school district. So, it just opens up so many more opportunities for our community members.
Thank you.
So thank you for everything you do.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Happy and glad to serve.
It's amazing just to hear in 3 years that you've been here, everything that you have done and accomplished. I applaud that. It is a wonderful, wonderful testimony. I can't wait to see what transpires over the next couple of years. Who knows, 15, 20 years, however long, that you're here for, that things that you'll continue to do to bring.
Well, thank God. We're just grateful for his blessings over the institution and for the great people we get to work with and that are doing many of these things that I just described. We just are supporting the great work that has already been there and continues to be there, and helping our staff and equipping them and giving them support to be able to expand that work. But thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you again for your
Thank you
time.
so much.
Rosanna, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Next, we have a budget hearing for our 2026 budget. To do this public hearing, we will need to go into the public hearing. So do we have a motion to enter into our public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Joe?
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Start off with staff. Everything was published and
It was published in the paper of record, the Kiowa County Press, on September 26th. And it was also posted on the front of the city complex as required. Also, copies of the proposed budgets for the requirement were placed in the clerk's office for public viewing.
okay. All right. And then anything, I guess that's pretty much it, just for the treasurer giving us an update. And then we'll open up the floor to any discussion on or any comments or for or against the budget, the 2026 budget. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for or against the 2026 budget as presented? Seeing none, I will close the floor and open it up to the council. Do we have any questions or clarifications for our budget hearing?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either at this time.
All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. And we will be discussing that further and doing the reading of the ordinance later in the meeting. But for now, that would be it for our public hearing. And the next item on the agenda, we'll move on to parades on Main Street. So agenda item number 3 is discussion on parades on Main Street. We've had some interest, and Colby had reached out to me wanting to discuss this. However, I had already began working with Pat Mason and Chief Ritter on trying to find out what do we need to do about the parades on Main Street. The difficulty is, of course, when we have one parade on Main Street, then we get multiple requests for parades on Main Street. And one of the concerns that I was received from our staff members was the extreme expense of holding these, the amount of staff it takes, the amount of, just the employees to be there to man it, and not to include when we do a parade on Main Street, we also have to divert and reroute two major highways, 287 and Highway 50 both. And when we do that, we end up putting ourselves at higher risk for liability because we're taking what could be potentially hazardous materials through residential areas in the city. So we have discussed this in depth and trying to find a solution. And what do we do about the parades on Main Street? We've taken it from the angle of cost and maybe doing a sharing of cost with other entities that would like to do it on Main Street. We thought maybe that might be a solution. However, then it just puts it back into the community to have to be re-taxed again because their tax dollars are paying for these to begin with. It is just another expense onto our merchants. When we end up spending $3,000 on a parade and they only make $3,000 in revenue that night, it ends up being a wash. So it's a difficult discussion whether we charge for it, whether we do it on our own like we have done in the past, or whether we do it on occasion. One of the differences that we've seen in the past has been with the Sand and Sage Fair. Many times we've had the Sheriff's Department who have participated. We've also had various individuals who have participated and volunteered to help maintain these detour routes and help make this happen. But we don't always get that, especially when it comes to, for instance, the homecoming parade that they wanted to have on Main Street last week, or the Parade of Lights that is coming up here with the Chamber of Commerce, or Lamar Days, or I think the other one is 9/11, but 9/11 has moved their parade route to 6th Street over to 9th Street and straight into the fairgrounds, which has worked very, very well because it keeps us from having to divert traffic. So I'll hand it over to Kevin to talk about what all you have found in your research, and then we can kind of discuss some ideas that we have from there.
Yeah, just in consideration, a couple things. First, that Lamar's a little bit unique in that the Main Street does end up falling on a US and Colorado highway. So in consideration of that, there's other things that we have to do. We have to get CDOT permission to have that route on the highway. We have to also get State Patrol permission to have that. So that takes a little bit of extra time put in to have alternate routes proposed. There's also an increase in liability for rerouting the commercial traffic off of the highway. As an example, if you would have a tanker truck that spills, then the Colorado Department of Transportation comes in, pays for the cleanup, pays for the cost, and takes any of the liability on with that. If we reroute that off to a residential street, needless to say that would be a little bit more of a concern if there's any type of accident or issue. And due to the increase in commercial traffic through Lamar, that's a big concern. It's also an unintended consequence. And speaking with Mr. Mason about the side streets and the side roads are not designed to handle all that extra weight and traffic of 88,000 and 90,000 pound commercial vehicles. There's been signs, there have been fire hydrants, and also in talking to him, it perhaps caused a little extra compression on the water lines and everything else. And that has only increased significantly over the last 10 or 15 or even 20 years. I don't have the exact numbers on that, but hope to have something on the traffic study that shows perhaps just how much increased commercial traffic we do have. So those are things that make it a little bit more unique if we have a parade on Main Street. Now, we do understand, the tradition and that goes into that. So along with just eliminating any parades on Main Street, we've had a couple of proposals and some proposal routes to use alternate routes. One being on Main Street to just shorten it up, and one being on 4th Street to allow people to park on Main Street and 4th Street and still kind of perhaps satisfy that request by the Chamber of Commerce for the increased foot traffic. With that, again, it's kind of the final consideration, which is the cost and the staffing levels. There is a sheet that's included there The first one for Sand and Sage shows the cost for the last parade. And in part, I approved that on Main Street to kind of check those numbers and check that data so we could have something concrete. Because I don't believe up until this point, we've ever really considered the cost or the other factors. So I approved that on Main Street so we could get an actual tangible cost. So the first estimate for the Sand and Sage, again, is the cost for not only the police department, but the Public Works Department, because they have to get out early to set up barricades. There's equipment costs associated with setting the parade up, as well as taking those barricades and those things down. This year, they utilized, it was 8 staff members from Public Works, in addition to the 13 officers that we had to have to staff that to make sure the liability was managed, the traffic flow was appropriate, and even comply with certain permits that certain intersections on a highway has to be staffed by a certified peace officer. The second for the Lamar Days Parade is similar in size. You just see that there's a different cost associated with that. That was a parade that was approved along 2nd Street. Some of that extra cost is minimized by not having to staff quite so many intersections with officers and with other Public Works members. And the last parade there listed was the 9/11 parade, which is the one that went down 6th Street and utilized Savage. You see that's about a third of the cost. Again, for the same reasons, it takes a lot less to staff, and we can utilize just some cones and different barricades and some natural routes, so we don't have to staff each and every intersection. So that's just a consideration. We have 3, one on, one off, and one on a complete different side route to have a complete look and a complete picture of not only the associated costs, but the other things, especially with the 2 for Lamar Days and the first responders, where we don't have to get any special permits from CDOT. We don't have to consider hazardous materials loads being diverted off to residential streets, and we don't have to get the approval from the Colorado State Patrol. Usually that's not an issue, but we don't know what permits have been put in through the state for certain loads that may be coming down that highway. So they have to consider that, and if there's any routes that have been filed with Colorado, such as hazardous material loads or anything, they have to consider that before they give us the final approval. And again, also included is a couple different routes that we would seek the council's input on. One is one that we have had traditionally down 6th Street, which is like the 9/11 parade. It shows the route there where you go down 6th Street over to Cedar and then down on 9th Street. And a return route would be just on Savage and to go back on 8th Street. Those are both thoroughfare streets that are also wider to be able to accommodate that extra traffic. And then usually they disperse from there. Another is for the Highway 50 detour or the closure, which would be off of 4th Street. And basically start over on Walnut Street. And this is the one where we would propose, and Mayor proposed that it is close to Main Street, so people can park on Main Street and 4th Street. So the chamber would get the increased foot traffic, and there would be more of that feel of perhaps Main Street parades. That would go up to the Enchanted Forest and then have 3rd Street as a return route. This would minimize any redirection of traffic with the exception of 2nd Street, where we would just detour traffic north up to Maple Street a few blocks over to Main, and then they could go north or south. So that's an alternate truck route that's been used and been proposed, and it's wide enough to carry those additional loads.
Can I cut in for a minute?
Yeah.
Part of what we were doing when we met and discussed this last week was trying to find alternative routes that would cut back the amount of areas where we had to staff for the detour.
Right.
One of the challenges we had with the previous Main Street route was that we were coming in from south of Memorial Drive, going around to the park, and then they turn off onto First and turn off onto Cedar, and there were multiple turns, and they were very
Right.
tight. So when semis went to turn, it made it very difficult, and we did get some sign damage or some other damages that would happen when they cut it too close. We were looking for a route that would allow us to do a parade on Main Street, but detour off of Maple and off of Cedar, which are already snow routes and are widened routes to where they can handle the traffic, and they are a little bit thicker so they can handle the traffic if they're detoured. Alternately, for the north and south traffic, that would be routed over to 6th Street and down 6th Street the same way to Cedar and Maple. So it gives us a roundabout way of going through Main Street. It's just a shorter parade route. That's the only difference. So that's the Main Street option. The 4th Street option, this was more along the lines of kind of dedicating this more to what the needs were for some of the events like the Parade of Lights, to where it would be hardly any diversion of traffic off of Highway 50 coming east and west. That could be just the Highway 50 traffic could be diverted, and it would save a significant amount of money having those 2 lanes diverted through 2nd Street off onto Olive East. But it would start off over at that First or Lamar Christian Church in that area there, and then go down 4th Street, dropping right into the Enchanted Forest if they were going to be judged. If they were not going to be judged, they can turn off onto Beach Street, get back onto 3rd, and then return back. So it made a nice, clean pathway for us to do a parade with very limited manpower and effort and cost, but at the same time, keep it 1 block away from Main Street to where other activities can be held in the parking lot behind the Pocket Park, for instance, or behind the city, or other events where you can have, or at the Enchanted Forest. And that would still attract individuals to downtown Lamar, still bring the businesses within walking distance rather than going through 2nd Street all the way to the Willow Creek Park. So that was the goal with some of these. We wanted to try to present some new options and try to not overthink them, trying to simplify it. Is that fair to say, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it, both in terms of simplifying, but also in terms of manpower, cutting it down from 22 to 23 personnel to 9.
9. So cuts it in half, if not
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're proposing. When it comes to cost-wise, by diverting these routes and changing them from Main Street, for instance, my proposal was to only allow 2 parades on Main Street per year, and that would be the San and Sage Fair and the Lamar Days Parade. Even though that would increase the cost of the Lamar Days Parade, it would only increase it slightly. But by moving the other parades onto 4th and 6th, what that does is that saves us some significant dollars in those areas to where, and we also have the savings on the shorting of the distance of Main Street to where we can justify the cost and not increase an additional expense for us to have these 2 projects on Main Street. This would prevent us from having to ask for funding from these organizations for those 2 events. Lamar Days is pretty much a Lamar event, and Prowers County has always contributed with manpower and assistance on there. So that kind of offsets what they're looking for with the San and Sage Fair. So that's why we were looking at those 2 events and then trying to divert the other ones to the other routes in an attempt to simplify the process.
Do we feel that it's just a funding issue, or is it also just the wear and tear on, diverting that traffic into some of our side streets? And really, some of those expenses, aren't necessarily included in this. These are just personnel.
Yeah, I didn't really probably fully understand myself quite the extent until I had a conversation with Mr. Mason about that. So it is a combination of all 3 of those things. And again, we don't know those costs associated with that because over time, if you have a crushed water line or you have, fluctuation or something like that, it's an unrealized cost that has the potential, but we're never going to really know it.
Yeah. So that was the proposal. That's what we wanted to get feedback from the council and get some input from the council. It looks like we do have some chamber members here. Now that you've heard what we've discussed, I didn't know if you would like to come up and speak on any of that and give us your thoughts as well. Open up that discussion. Thank you, Chief.
Hello, Council. Colby Brubaker, President of the Chamber of Lamar. First off, I would like to thank the council as well as the police department, Public Works, as well as putting in the time to have these discussions to see if it's a viable option to at least have the discussion to have some sort of parades on Main Street. So I would like to thank you guys for allowing us to have this discussion. The Chamber of Commerce is happy to support whatever the city council decides going forward. All that we asked was just a direction, because we didn't know a direction as far as whenever members come and ask the Chamber of Commerce, why can't we have a parade on Main Street in front of our businesses? So really, it's just the Chamber of Commerce trying to do its due diligence to bring that discussion for its members, and whatever direction that's given by City Council, we're going to support fully, and we'll just keep moving forward. So thank you to the City Council. And I do have a question. Is tonight a discussion or is tonight a decision?
It's up to the council on that.
I think it's just discussion. I think
Yeah.
that more discussion can be had on it, possibly even a work session if it's.
I mean, we're probably going to have to make a decision at some point, especially with your Parade of Lights coming up very soon. I would hope that you could drive through that 4th Street and the 3rd Street example that we had given to see if that will work for you, because that would be the least expensive, least damaging, least heaviest lift. I spoke with Joe Ayala from the Lahana Chamber. He had brought up that, you guys had mentioned some concerns on that as well. It's a little different for them because all of their parades are on side streets, on city streets. They don't have to deal with CDOT and rerouting traffic. So it does make it a lot bigger challenge for us than it does for other communities. So unfortunately, we do have to deal with that part, but
Absolutely.
we can continue to discuss it and go on from there and make a decision in the near future.
Well, and that way we can at least take kind of what the chamber hears from tonight, and we can go share that with our board, share it with our chamber members. And but thank you for involving us tonight with the discussion. And
Did you get a copy of those maps by any chance?
I was going to ask that too, or the numbers. That wasn't included in the packet either. Not that it's going to be distributed by us, but
Okay,
just so
well,
we
I'll have to
can-
get those for you. I can
For sure.
email them to you then.
okay. Thank you guys.
Yep. All right.
As far as that 3rd, 4th Street route goes, there are some pretty substantial dips along that south corridor, around the staging area and return route area. That will be something that will need to be discussed, because if you're in trailers, that's a safety hazard for
Yeah.
the riders. I only know this because I grew up riding my bike around that area and lived there my whole life. There are some pretty substantial dips to look at in that one.
Is that on Walnut or on
They're
Chestnut?
random all over, just like they are all over town on our side streets.
It's the natural drainage route of the streets, I think.
Yes,
So,
it is, but they're 2.5 feet
To
deep.
filter in, yeah.
So.
Well, I'll have to write that.
Natural speed
area.
control also.
Yeah.
Yes. I do like that 3rd, 4th Street option. I think there's a lot of good possibilities there. Like you mentioned with the pocket park, with that parking lot, being able to have the chamber members promote different, sales and stuff the night of, finishing at the Enchanted Forest. Growing up, I always loved parades on Main Street. I didn't know a lot of the things until we had heard about what Pat Mason had discussed with wear and tear, and those are those things you just can't measure. You can't say how much it's going to cost, because even when something needs repaired, you can't dictate what it's from, just natural wear and tear. So yeah.
We'll definitely look at those and see what the dips are and how they will affect. The part that I drove through didn't have any, but I didn't go all the way south. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure where those dips started. I'll have to.
I just can't remember off the top of my head. They're just all randomly around there. And luckily, most of them are when you're crossing.
Right.
But it would be, I'll look tonight when I go home. It'd be mostly at Chestnut and Walnut when
Yeah.
I think most of them are south, and I do know a couple having
Yeah.
hit a few of those.
And so if you're coming on the return route and you're turning back in there, you're going to have some substantial
On the 3rd Street
dips to
route.
go through. The other question I did have, just because for clarification for me, when it comes to the, and I think you may have answered most of it. So it sounds like the county for the Sand and Sage Fair Parade covers a lot of the costs by in-kind assistance.
Well, they've assisted when they could. So
Yes,
that's
some of
where-
that is also to staff members. Sometimes they've been able to provide more in terms of deputies or posse members, but usually we get a little bit more assistance with that than we do with the other.
Okay, and so anything excess over what's assisted, who pays for it?
It comes,
county sand and sage board.
well, yeah, as far as the county costs, I'm not sure who pays for it in terms of the county, but we just cover, whatever else we can. We usually start off with a basic template. And then if there's officers that are not available to work, or if we need other staff members, then we will reach out to them and they'll fill in. So it might be 2 to 3, it might be 4 or 5, as well as state patrol. They usually have at least 1 or 2 troopers available.
So I guess let me rephrase my question. Who's paying for that? The city's been historically paying for those.
Comes out.
Yeah, for the overtime costs, it comes out of my overtime budget.
So is there a world where a discussion could be had on the organization paying for a Main Street?
That was one of the discussions, but again, like I said, then you're going back to the merchants and the organizations that are nonprofit trying to survive to bring up additional funding. Can they find sponsors? Yes. And in speaking with them, that could be a possibility, but that wasn't like the favorite option is what I was trying.
Right, it never would be, but I think looking at this total here, for something that I get people reaching out to me regularly from Main Street businesses about their desire to have at least this parade of lights on Main Street again, that's a cost that could be shared by 20, 25 businesses and would make it very manageable. So I don't think we close the conversation on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 20, 25 businesses, if they will all contribute.
oh, absolutely.
Even just with the community support. I mean, there's some people just like you,
Mhm.
you grow up, you get accustomed to it, and you like to see
Mhm.
Main Street, get utilized with the parade of lights. And so, maybe there is donors who are saying, hey, we would like, but these are just things that have to be, evaluated.
So either way, and I'm open to whichever. I'm just trying to find a solution to where we can get it to.
I suppose, Brett, if you can come back with some information on those business owners.
I don't have a parade. But I can tell you that in a month and a half, I was able to get 15,000 for the 2-shot golf tournament. So it's doable. And from what I've understood from business owners, you could probably come up with the money. I'm just saying, I don't think we should completely close off that route. If an organization wants to come up with the money, whether it's through donors, through businesses, to pay that cost, I don't think we close off that route.
And I'm open to that. If they, somebody does the research to figure out, what businesses can contribute, if they can cover the cost and so forth like that. And if we can keep it at a minimum to where it's a shorter route on Main Street, because keep in mind, with the wear and tear of these 80,000 pound trucks, with the underlying damage of the asphalt and sewer lines or water lines is what we're trying to get away from with some of these alternate routes.
And that was my thought of having a work session. I mean, this is, the community's hearing it for the first time. And so
Most certainly.
there may be a lot of input, from the community wanting to.
I think it would be great to have a work session. You guys figure out some more information on your side. And we maybe try to hammer out some of those final costs on our side.
Okay. Well, we'll probably need to make a decision by the next meeting for the parade of lights, no matter what. So if we're going to do a work session, I would recommend before the next meeting, so we can have a decision for them for the parade of lights, because they need to start advertising and marketing and letting them know. So if you could work on that between now and the next meeting, which would be October 27th,
Mhm.
27th.
Will there be a certain day that you guys will have the work session, or do you want us to?
That's the work session day, is before the meeting on the 27th. Right?
Yes.
Everybody good with that? Okay.
Yeah, so that would give them 2 weeks of research and background work.
Does that work? All right. So we'll go ahead and move that to the next work session for the next meeting, and then we'll try to make a decision for them on the parade of lights at that time. Okay. Anybody else want to speak on this, or are we good to move forward?
I think we're good to move forward.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is number 4. We have a presentation of the 2026 proposed Lamar Utilities Board budget to the City Council. And we have Hussein Gharee here tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
The proposed Lamar Utilities Board budget for 2026 determines the revenue requirements needed from electric retail rates, consisting primarily of transmission, distribution, and wind power generation activities. The budget includes total revenue in excess of 17.3 million, 15.6 million from retail electric sales, and the remaining primarily from wind turbine production. The 26 budget is proposing total operating expenses of 17.5 million, which include 9.4 million for power supply. Additional expenditures include 1.5 million personnel costs, 2.8 million for repairs and maintenance, charter appropriation of $1,758,519, which is the full 12% of retail sales as allowed by the charter, $1,439,500 in capital outlays, which include 200,000 contingency funding, 444,000 in substation and distribution line work, 100,000 for wind turbine parts, 50,000 for vehicles, and $645,500 for miscellaneous and other equipment. That includes completion of the advanced metering infrastructure's AMI system upgrade, the first phase of the 4 kV feeder switchgear upgrade, and distribution system transformers. The proposed 2026 budget reflects cost of maintaining Lamar wind turbines, electric distribution, substations, and transmission systems. We are continuing our effort in exploring options to improve electric system reliability and resiliency by planning and implementing system upgrades that will improve our system efficiency. We remain focused on our mission. Lamar Light and Power will continually strive to provide reliable power at a competitive rates to all consumers and businesses we serve throughout Broward and Bent counties. We will provide professional service through a commitment to excellence and work to maintain Lamar and the surrounding area as vital progressive communities. That's kind of overview of our proposed budget.
Okay. Okay. Does the council have any questions for Hussein on their proposed budget?
I don't have any.
Great. Well, thank you for your
I
time.
just seen if I had any questions, but I don't. either.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think we're good. I'm
All
good.
right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Just going through that and making sure we had it all covered. Okay. Moving right along, we have our next item on the agenda, which is permission to apply for the Bureau of Justice Assistance fiscal year 2025 body worn camera grant. This is initiated by Kristen and Tess and Chief Ritter.
Yeah, the police department found this grant opportunity through the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice. And there was an opportunity for us to apply for money to offset the lease costs for our body worn cameras that we went into. So we're asking for permission to apply. The application is due November 3rd. So we'd like to go ahead and get permission to apply for that and see if we can't get the money to offset that cost. So
Okay.
now I don't know what it's federal dollars, so I don't know if the shutdown will have any, if it'll affect it at all, but they haven't said anything. So they still have that grant opportunity open. So we'd like to take advantage of it if we could. So we're just asking for permission to apply.
Okay. Pretty simple. This is mainly just to apply.
Yes.
Make a motion for the staff to apply for the grant and allow the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Jones didn't pick up.
Unanimous in favor of?
Must be battery getting low. Battery. Okay, next item on the agenda, approve agreement with heirs for consulting services for the EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant. This is also initiated by Kristen, our treasurer.
So you gave us permission to apply for this grant in the last meeting, I believe. And with the technical complexities of the grant application for the EPA for this grant, we are asking that we can enter into just a letter of agreement with heirs to help us build that application. And Lance has looked at the letter of agreement, and he didn't have any issues with it. So we're just asking for council to approve the letter of agreement with heirs for assistance for preparation of that application and allow the mayor to sign.
Okay.
I know it's getting closer to the year. We're budgeted for that 7,000.
Yes, we've got, yes.
I make a motion to approve the agreement with heirs on assisting with the EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant and allow the mayor to sign. Is that what you said?
Yes,
Second.
thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right. Chugging right along. Approved Resolution 2025-10-01, resolution by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado, for the County of Prowers and the State of Colorado, authorizing participation in the Rural Jumpstart Program. This was initiated by Anne Marie Crampton.
It is. So we have participated in this Rural Jumpstart Program before, 2017 to 2020, the last round that we were in. And I'm not sure we understood that or consciously thought that it had sunsetted because it was kind of on our radar that we could possibly use it. And it wasn't until Kina Weber Shirk came to town and she mentioned that none of the entities, the county, city of Lamar, and town of Grenada, their agreements had lapsed. So this is an interesting opportunity for very specific, non-competing businesses to get a special assistance from the state, a significant assistance from the state, and then assistance from the municipality and the county as well. And it used to be that you could not compete with another business in the state, and they've kind of dialed that back to be not in any other business in a competing or in a neighboring county. But it's just a great way to recruit viable, high-paying jobs to rural Colorado. And our city attorney has reviewed it, and we have worked on it together.
Okay. And you have the original one from 2002, it looks like.
2017, maybe?
Oh, 17, sorry. February, or the April 2nd of 2017. You are right. Well, that was a while back. No changes to the resolution, it didn't look like, other than the dates.
There are some changes. We have the opportunity to, it doesn't have to look like an absolute tax rebate, and our city attorney wanted to give us a little more freedom to make our own decision on what kind of rebating we used.
Okay.
A few other changes, but pretty minor.
I have a question. In the past, has anybody utilized this program?
They have about 30 in the state. We have not had any in this region.
In Lamar.
Oh, definitely not in Lamar.
But we'll have the opportunity to if we have this.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the resolution and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item is the cooperative service agreement between the City of Lamar and USDA. This was initiated by Pat Mason and Anthony Latour. However, I can speak on that since they're not here tonight. We had hired the USDA and working with them to remove some beavers that were causing issues in the Willow Creek area. We had also hired them to do a prairie dog removal in the archery range as well as over at Willow Creek. They have offered to do an annual contract that would cover the full city, and it would cover also birds as well as beavers, prairie dogs, and other pests that we need to address for the full year. The issue has been, where do we come up with the funds at? Sanitation is starting to have a lot of issues in certain areas of the well fields as well as the well tanks. Is that correct? And the water department has been having some issues, or sanitation has been having issues at the dump and at the transfer station. The water department is at the well fields and at the water tanks. And Parks and Rec, as you can see, if you go over to Escondido Park, you'll see there's prairie dogs in the actual parking lots now. So it has become a huge problem, and it's something that needs to be addressed. We've always had the issue with the pigeons, and that's going to be addressed as well with this contract. Pat has agreed to contribute funding from water, from sanitation, and then the Parks and Rec department was going to come up with the funding for the other 6,000 to cover the full amount. Do they have those funds in those?
Well, they're gonna have to take them out of their operating, so they're gonna have to watch their spending on other things. But yeah, I would say all three departments have this.
They should have it. They just need to
Yes.
manage it.
Yes.
Okay. So that was their request, was to try to hire this or contract with USDA to make sure that we take care of this for the next 3 years?
4 years.
4 years. And have you had a chance to review this agreement?
I looked at it today.
Okay.
It's a 4-year contract, but it also has a provision that can be terminated at any point with 60-day notice.
Okay. So it's management of skunks, pigeons, beavers, black-tailed prairie dogs, for the protection of property and human health and safety, to be more specific on what they would be covering.
So this is a 4-year cost? Not an annual?
Well, the 6,000 per department would be annual for 4 years.
So yeah, the 18,000 is annual.
Per year.
18,000 per year for 4 years. Right. 24?
6 times 4
6 times 3?
times 3. There says.
So the 6,007 and 26 cents will come out annually from each department for 4
For
years.
4 years.
So yes, the full 18,021 and 78 cents is per year
full
Per
cost?
year.
for 4
Oh,
years.
yeah. Okay, that sounds better. I was getting confused with
Right.
the math. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So that is the request.
Basically, you take a 12 feet tail.
The only thing that's,
Do you need some more time to look at it, Lance?
well, the only thing that's a little odd about it is it has an effective date of July 1st. So, and then expires December 31st. I don't know when their expected annual payments are. Like, you're expecting us to pay 18,000 for,
For 6 months worth,
well, 2
actually,
months.
3,
3 months.
Yeah.
October, November, December.
Well, I didn't know if they were going to include what we had did previously. I'm not sure on that part. We would have to ask.
Are they going on their fiscal?
It just says continue until
January
July,
1
December
to December
31st.
31st.
Yeah, it'd be better January 1 to December 31st.
So that they're looking to be billed quarterly.
But we're almost at the end of this year, so if they're gonna require us to pay $18,000 for 2025.
Without any work.
Yeah. Okay, so what would you like for us to do? Would you like for us to bring it back, or would you rather just approve it with the starting dates noted?
So would you start at January 1 of 26?
January 1 of 26.
So we wouldn't do anything this year?
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do, was accomplish something now, getting started.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Could they prorate this year?
I don't know on that. We'll have to,
Why don't we bring it back for,
the next meeting.
yeah,
Let's get, let's.
Shall
do
we
that,
make a
'cause
motion to
that's-
table it until then?
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't have an issue with the other aspects of it. It's just the July 1st seemed odd.
Okay.
With only 2 months left here, 3 months left in this year.
And I should have had Anthony stay or come in, but he did not, and I
Well,
didn't make him come in, but
Oh, he may not have
Perhaps
the answer.
we get that clarity and and then the council can proceed on it.
Okay,
I make a motion to table.
okay, till we get the answers.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table this topic. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right. Next item on the agenda is item number 9 for pool repairs through Renesas Corporation. This was, they had some warranty repairs to the pool back in May of 2025. They asked them to come back early spring of 26 to make additional repairs. We will be paying the minimum mobilization fee of $2,500 with the cost for their travel expenses and labor at $165 per hour. Last year, the total was close to $6,000. We anticipate this visit costing the same and doing the same thing. We're asking for the signature, asking for the amount of $11,153 so that we can complete this process of the repairs, warranty repairs, and the rest of the repairs that needed to be done. Does he have that in his budget for that?
So
Was that
this
the
is going to be a 2026 expense because they're doing it in the spring. So we did budget that in the conservation trust. We can pay for those repairs out of that. So
And that's what it said. It would be in the early
Yes.
spring. So
this is something that he brought up during his budget work session with you. So we did put that into the conservation trust for the budget for 2026.
So just tell me if I'm thinking of this correctly. The agreement is for up to $11,153.95, but last year we only paid around 6,000, so it might be less than that.
Right.
We're not just signing this at this cost, knowing it costs 6,000 and we still can pay.
Right. And so I would do up to that amount.
Okay.
So they did the estimate based upon their actual visual seeing what they did this year. So they have a fairly good estimate on it. It might be less, but I would say a maximum of that amount. And there was no changes on the amendments. I know they talked about the amendments, that they didn't want to do the amendments, that it was just what
Yeah.
they gave us.
So we just sent a letter.
Okay.
Notifying them of potential of some of the clauses that they have in their contract not being enforceable in Colorado.
Okay. And that would be sufficient?
All we got at this.
So with that warranty work, if they, like it says here, the warranty items are found within the PVC membrane, then there won't be no charge for it? Or is that, or
Right.
looking to repair other things as they get in there, or?
No, they're basing this on what they saw, but if they find out that it's warranty that covers those repairs, then it'll be less than this
Oh,
estimate.
okay.
So they're basing the estimate on what they saw and what they think is gonna need to be repaired. Now, whether it's covered under the warranty, they won't know until they get here.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, what would the council like to do?
I'll make a motion to sign the agreement for the amount proposed for the $11,153.95
Okay,
Second.
allow the mayor to sign?
and allow the mayor to sign.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is to reappoint a member to the Arkansas River Power Authority Board of Directors. The term of the Arkansas Power Authority Board of Directors for Mr. Robert J. Brook will expire on December 31st of 2025. The city of Lamar needs representation at the ARPA meetings, therefore needs to make an appointment. The Lamar Utility Board has made the recommendation to reappoint Robert J. Brook for a 4-year term until the term of 2029. So that is the recommendation from the Lamar Utility Board. What would the council like to do?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. All right, I'd received this one late last week. It is for Vertical Bridge. It is a sublease request. We have a lease with Vertical Bridge for a tower on near our, I guess that would be west of our main water tank. We've leased this with them for many years. I believe they have a current lease. I don't remember how long it's for.
They do. I'm sorry, I didn't check to see how long it's for. It's still in effect for several more years.
Yeah, I think it's around 10 years. We just renewed that when Steve Kill was here. Anyhow, they are wanting to do a sublease with Verizon Wireless so that Verizon Wireless can hang new equipment onto their tower. But our contract states that all subleases must be approved by the city council. So that is their request, is to ask if they can have this sublease completed. And there would be no other action other than just approving the sublease.
We need to review the sublease.
Well, it's not our lease, so it would be just whether or not we're going to allow them to sublease it or not, right?
It's their tower and our property, is that correct?
Yes, their tower on our property.
Okay.
I
And
did see where just a few years ago, we had subleased to,
Riverside, Kale Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did the approval for the sublease to Riverside Communications, Kale Lamar, and we did one for AT&T as well. It was a couple of years before that. It was the AT&T one. Sorry. So, did you need to review this or?
I remember looking at the vertical bridge one years ago, but I haven't looked at it since then. Suppose the question's really just whether council wants to allow the subleasing on that tower.
Okay.
Or at least as to your property out there.
Mainly that would be the thing, is the access to the property with the sublease.
I don't recall on those other subleases if we charged anything for that, but okay.
That was my first question. Yeah. It would be nice, but we've never done that, so.
I think vertical bridge, though.
Evaluated on the next time.
We charge vertical bridge for their lease.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So imagine it can be reevaluated when the next time when this lease comes up due, that those, depending on how many subleases they have on it, give leverage for readjusting that, but in the moment.
So our original lease with Vertical Bridge for the land, so that they can do the tower, was for something like $100 a year. It was very, very cheap, inexpensive. When Steve was here, the lease ran out and expired. We needed to renew it. He renegotiated it based upon the subleases.
Right.
And upon what was income that was coming through on it. So that's what so we did reevaluate it. We did change the pricing. It was significantly more. So
Yeah, my recommendation would just be, in the moment, not doing anything other than accepting the letting them sublease. But when it comes to renewal, just to reevaluate it again.
how many are there? Okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
perhaps, yeah. When I guess if I'm still here, then we can look at maybe adding some kind of clause about anytime additional sublease comes, it's re-subleased or additional subleases happen, adding a fee for that.
Sure.
So
Okay. All right. So what would you like to do now? What would your recommendation be now?
but again, I think it's council's decision on whether or not to approve the sublease of this. That's really the question on, since we haven't charged the other businesses, I don't know how we.
Right.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, council, what would you like to do?
I move to approve the sublease request.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and allow the mayor to sign.
Yes.
And I second that as well.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Those same sign.
we have a split vote with Councilmember Gonzalez, Jenkins, Mata, Temez, Zavala, and Mayor Crespin voting yes, and Councilmember Bates voting no.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to levy and collect taxes in the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026. We would need to read the ordinance and approve it on first reading and order it published. So I will read that out real quick. Do we have the number for the ordinance? Not yet.
Not yet. We'll do it on second.
Okay. This is an ordinance to levy and collect taxes on the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado, Section 1, that for the purpose of the meeting of all general operating expenses for the City of Lamar during the 2026 budget year, there is hereby levied a tax of 13.239 mils upon each dollar of the total valuation for assessment of all taxable property within the City of Lamar for the year 2025. Section 2, that the city clerk is hereby authorized and directed to immediately certify to the county commissioners of the Broward County of Colorado the mill levy of the City of Lamar for the hereinabove determined and set. Introduced, read in full, and passed on this first reading in order to publish this 13th day of October, 2025. Now, this was not an increase in the mill levy, correct?
We haven't increased it in 38 years.
In 38 years, we've never increased that mill levy, so I
We
just
did.
wanted to point that out.
Right, and the county, the first round of, that we got from the county, there is a bit of an increase. So I'm hoping that that holds true to December when they do their final
Okay,
assessment.
okay. So we just need to get an approval for the first reading of our ordinance.
I'll make a motion to pass the ordinance on first reading.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Moving right along, we have item number 13, an ordinance providing for the appropriation of revenues and expenditures and adopting the budget for the City of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026. It's a little bit longer of an ordinance to read, but I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Try to. An ordinance providing for the appropriation of revenues and expenditures and adopting the budget for the City of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Section 1, the various appropriations from the revenue of the City of Lamar, Colorado to defray the expenses and liabilities thereof during this fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026 shall be under the following heads: General Fund, E911 Fund, Sales Tax Fund, Conservation Trust Fund, Unemployment Fund, Victim Assistance Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Lamar Building Finance Corporation Fund, Library Fund, Fairmont Investment Fund, Sanitation Fund, Water and Sewer Fund, Lamar Ambulance Fund, and the Airport Fund. Section 2, the following amounts under the prospective funds are hereby appropriated out of the revenue that shall accrue to said city during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025. General Fund, $12,053,474. E911 Fund, $843,573. Sales Tax Fund, $6,115,572. Conservation Trust Fund, $152,000. Unemployment Fund, $10,000. Victim Assistance Fund, $15,250. Capital Improvement Fund, $4,731,259. Sorry, $4,731,259. Lamar Building Finance Corporation, $274,727. Library Fund, $36,900. Fairmont Investment Fund, $40,500. Airport Fund, $1,466,684. Sanitation Fund, $2,586,775. Water Sewer Fund, $9,215,300. Lamar Ambulance Fund is $1,082,290. The budget also as follows is hereby adopted for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026. General Fund, revenue of $12,053,474. Expenditures of $12,053,474. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation of the general fund, $12,053,474. E911 Fund, revenues of $843,573. Expenditures, $837,773. Revenues over and under expenditures is $5,800. Total appropriation of the E911 fund is $843,573. Sales tax fund revenues, $6,115,572. Expenditures, $6,115,572. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation of the sales tax fund is $6,115,572. Conservation Trust Fund. Revenues, including fund balances used, is $152,000. Expenditures of $152,000. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation of the Conservation Trust Fund is $152,000. Unemployment Fund. Revenues, including fund balances used, is $10,000. Expenditures is $10,000. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation of Unemployment Fund is $10,000. Victim Assistance Fund, revenues including fund balances used is $15,250. Expenditures is $15,250. Revenues over and under expenditures zero. Total appropriation of the Victim Assistance Fund is $15,250. Capital Improvement Fund, revenues including fund balances used is $4,731,259. Expenditures of $4,731,259. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation capital improvement fund is $4,731,259. Lamar Building Finance Corporation, operating revenue of $3,500, operating expenditures of $274,727. Net income loss, a loss of $271,227. Total appropriation for Lamar Building Finance Corp is $274,727. Library Fund, revenues, $36,900. Expenditures of $35,800. Revenues over and under expenditures is $1,100. Total appropriation of the Library Fund is $36,900. Fairmont Investment Fund, revenues including fund balances used is $40,500. Expenditures is $40,500. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. Total appropriation of the Fairmont Investment Fund is $40,500. Airport Fund, operating revenue of $700,000. Operating expenditures of $919,318. Net operating income, a loss of $219,318. Non-operating revenue of $766,684. Non-operating expenditures of $547,366. Net non-operating income of $219,318. Net income and loss is zero. Sanitation Fund, operating revenues of $1,789,600. Operating expenditures of $1,541,775. Net operating income of $247,825. Non-operating revenue of $797,175. Non-operating expenditures of $1,045,000. Net non-operating income of negative $247,825. Net income and loss of zero. Wastewater or Water and Sewer Fund, operating revenue of $4,295,300. Operating expenditures of $2,273,658. Net operating income of $2,021,642. Non-operating revenue of $4,920,000. Non-operating expenditures of $6,910,909. Net non-operating income of negative $1,990,909. Net income and loss of $30,733. Lamar Ambulance Fund, revenues including the fund's balances used is $1,082,290,000. Or sorry, $1,082,290. Expenditures $1,082,290. Revenues over and under expenditures is zero. And the last page, section 4. There is hereby pursuant to Article 11, got that backwards. 11 of the charter of the said City of Lamar, Colorado, appropriated from the revenue of the Utilities Board the sum of $1,758,519. introduced, read in full, passed on this first reading, and ordered published this 13th day of October 2025. Easier said than done. Okay. What is the council's pleasure on that?
I move to pass the ordinance on first reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of.
Okay, moving on to miscellaneous items. Do we have any miscellaneous items that we need to review or go over? Seeing none. The next item on the agenda is an executive session for the purposes of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS 246402, subsection 4, subsection E, regarding Evergreen and DZ construction. We would be moving into that. There will be no decisions coming out of the executive session, so we will adjourn the meeting directly following the executive session. But do we have a motion to move into the executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of.
All right, our next meeting is Monday, October 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We will be having our new city administrator join us at that time, so we hope to see you then.